morning everyone. Hope all is well. Just thought I'd pop on and give you a bit of an update of what I've been up to this week, and I've even got a little bit of makeup on for you today. I've got a wedding to go to shortly, so I thought I'd have a practice to see if I could remember how to put some makeup on. So yeah, not a lot of crafting this week. I had a little hospital visit, that nothing serious, just a routine thing, but that sort of wiped me out for two and a half days. So I didn't do a lot except for sleeping. So I finished a couple of washcloths. I don't know if you remember the half and half washcloth I did before. I think I did it on a 4mm needle. So I thought I'd try. It's okay, but it is quite loose, especially when it gets wet. It tends to grow and is quite see-through. So I thought I'd try a couple more. This is all in the Paint Box DK cotton. So I think that's called blush pink, that colour. This one I did on a 3.5, and yeah, that was okay. Quite happy with that. I wasn't as keen as knitting the cotton on a smaller needle, but so that was a 3.5. This was a 3.75. So I think that's called pistachio. I'm not sure what they're like yet when they're used. Don't bother blocking them, so I'll pop those into the rotation and see what they're like when they get wet. But I'm thinking the 3.75 might be the go. So that was really, they're the only two finished objects I got done this week. 2 little washcloths. I did a bit of knitting on my temperature, I keep calling it a temperature blanket. The pattern is called Temperature Timepiece in the Round, and it is by, I've got a name on my board, Andrea Shanti. So it's cast on with just a neutral colour, and then the temperature for each day is depicted in whatever colour. So you can see we've had a couple of hot days pop up here. So I am up to date. I think I may not have done yesterday's yet. And it's called Temperature Timepiece in the Round because, yeah, it is knit in the round, but we're going to steek here and open it up, and then where the steek is will be a fringe. So there's no ends to finish off. So at the moment, I'm just either letting the ends just hang there, or I knot them together. So yeah, been keeping up with that. I've got 3 colours attached at the moment. I'm waiting to see what the temperature is going to do for the next few days before I chop off what's on here. So the last few days have been in the curry, pumpkin spice, and I think that's called Love Heart. Yeah, so that's fairly quick to knit, doesn't take too long. It's on a 6mm needle, and it's 10 ply, which I think might be, I think it's a bit heavier than worsted weight, Aran weight maybe. So yeah, it's knitting up really quickly, and this luxury yarn is really nice to knit with. I'm so glad I went with the luxury and not the classic from Bendigo Woolen Mills. My other colour did turn up. You might remember I rejigged my colours and the temperatures because I just felt we were going to have too many, especially this time of year, too many colours too close, too many temperatures for each colour. So they weren't, I didn't have enough colour variation. So basically I spread them out a bit, spread the temperatures out. So I needed another colour, and I'd ordered the coastal blue. Well, that turned up. Oh, the lighting is dreadful. I've closed the blind on the sliding door nearly all the way because the glare from the sun, it is just amazing. Like, I don't know what the time is it's about 7 o'clock in the morning and the sun is just so bright. It's going to be another stinking hot day today. So coastal blue turned up, so that will fit nicely in between aquamarine and clover. So I do like the warm weather, but I think I'm going to really enjoy knitting with these colours once we get down to, I think they're like around the 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, maybe these colours. So yeah. The only other thing I've really been knitting on is my other In the Loop cowl, which is a gift knit, and I'll show you where I'm up to on that. It's the same as the one I showed you last week with the purple and pink, but this one is going to be in blues. So I've done the inner part of the cowl, which is just the black and white. It's in the Rowan Alpaca Classic. And I've started adding in the first colour, which you won't be able to tell from the black, which is it's a navy. And then there'll be a lighter blue and then a grey. But I'll show you that when there's a bit more done. It makes a bit more sense, but I've been working on that. I've done a few rows on my half and half wrap. I've been working on my Stevie top, which is this one in the Joe Sharp. I think it's called Garden Aran Cotton, which is coming on. Just knitting down the body of that. So I've still got a fair way to go, and then I'll pick up for the sleeves. Lots more to go on that one. The other thing I've been working on is actually a design, which unfortunately I can't show you. It has to stay secret. It's for publication, for a publication. So I'm submitting it. If it gets accepted, I will, well, either way, I'll be needing some test knitters. I can tell you it's a hat. It's in 2 colours and it's in a worsted weight. It's a simple, even though there's 2 colours, at the moment it looks like it's I'm only using 1 colour at a time, 1 colour per row. I'm not sure yet as we get further into the design, but just keep that in mind. If anyone is interested in test knitting for me, you could probably shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm Yarn About Yarn. I'm also Yarn About Yarn on Ravelry, if that suits you better to send me a message there. Either of those, great ways to get in contact. Yeah, so unfortunately I can't show you that. If I submit it for the publication and it's not accepted, I will be self-publishing it. So yeah, look out for that later in the year, I guess. So I've been working on that. I'm sort of knitting it up at the moment just to make sure that the decreases work the way I want them to work. Being colour work, it's important to, I think anyone that's into hat knows that there's those basic hat decreases when you get to the crown, which aren't going to work in this case because I want the colour work to continue right through, and the way the colour work is done and the type of pattern it is, I have to finagle the decreases a bit. So I'm actually knitting it up to make sure that it works the way I think it will work. So unfortunately I can't show you that, but yeah, I've been working on that. I've done a little bit of weaving, which I took a little video, so I'll probably pop that in at some stage. That's about all, I think. Still got my destash going on over on Instagram it's mostly books at the moment. There will be some other bits and pieces. I've got some Chow Gu, like the needle set cases, fabric cases. I've got a couple of those up there. I've got a couple of 3D printed spinning wheel bobbins because I ordered the wrong size. So they're on there. I might have some yarn, I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about going through my yarn. I'll go and grab one of them now. Most of my yarn is in these little plastic tubs, and I think I've only got one. I might have two. One that is bulky and Aran weight sort of yarns, which I don't normally knit with. I will probably be doing some spinning with them. Not spinning, weaving. But what I thought I'd do is start going through the tubs. It's going to take ages because if I'm going to knit them up, it's going to take even longer. But see if I can get through them, especially these heavier weight ones, because they're not something I knit with. So if I'm not going to knit with it, if I'm not going to weave with it, then I will add them to my destash. So like this one, I've got this beautiful, so soft from Knit Crate, but it's an alpaca and tencel, and it's in a bulky weight. And some alpacas I just cannot even knit with. Like, they're soft, they're fine to touch, but once I start knitting with them, I find that my skin reacts. The Rowan alpaca seems to be fine, like the alpaca classic that I'm doing for the in the loop cows, that's fine. The Rowan felted tweed, which has an alpaca content, that's fine. It doesn't seem to be dependent on how soft it is either. Like, I got some beautiful alpaca that was so melt in your mouth butter soft, and I just couldn't work with it. My skin just reacted. So I might weave something with those, or maybe they'll go in the destash. Yeah, so there's that. I've got some Knit Picks Gallery in their Aran weight, which is a colour changing yarn, which I think that will be pretty cool to weave with. Don't know whether they're the same colours or not. Yeah, they are. Surrealism is the colour. So I've got 3 of those by the looks of it. That will probably go into a weaving project. So I'll keep those. I don't know if you can hear that boat just going up the river. I've got this beautiful hand spun, which I bought the fibre from Kathy's Fibre and given it to a friend of mine, who then spun it and gifted it back to me. So that is absolutely glorious. I'm thinking I will pop that into a weaving of some kind. Yeah, that is really lovely. Got a heap of Noro in here, Noro Kurion, which I think also will go into a weaving project. All these colour changing yarns are great in a weaving project. I think that might be a Noro as well. That could be a Noro. I think that's a Cascade, but again, it's another colour changing. I'm going to pull that blind shut a bit more. Hopefully that lighting's a bit better. Yeah, I think that's a Cascade. So these colour changing ones, I am definitely going to keep those and pop into a weaving. I'm thinking I might add these to the destash. And I've got, just throw those on the floor. I've got some Morris and Sons Estate, just an oddball of that. I don't know whether that's Estate as well. What else is in here? DHG Puma, which is 100% merino, but it's like a roving type of thing. So yeah, that'll probably go into a weaving. Got this one, which I think it might have been, I don't know. I did get some yarn, some wool from, I think it was Great Ocean Road. They had a sample pack. I'm not sure whether this was in it or not. I think the ones I got from them were natural, like cream white. This is absolutely beautiful and soft. That's all I've got of that. So another weaving project. This might go into destash. Some Quince & Co. Kestrel, which that is left over from my ranunculus, which is in the ash colorway. And this I knit sort of like a dress, long tabardie top sort of thing, that's in ebb tide. So they might go on to the destash. There's only the two of them. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. So someone might be able to do a little stripy project with those. It's an organic linen. The other thing that's in here is 2 skeins of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes bulky. This is left over from a blanket I did. So yeah, they might go into the destash. So a couple of things that I might add them onto the destash today. Those two, and the 2 linen. I think everything else will go into weaving. Okay, so maybe that's what I'll do every week or so, is grab one of these tubs out, just go through it, see what I want to keep, what I want to keep for knitting, what I want to keep for weaving, and then add the rest to the destash. But there's a heap of books on there, there's a heap more books coming, so if you're interested in any of that, unfortunately I'm only posting within Australia. It's just too expensive for international shipping. It just doesn't seem worthwhile, especially for secondhand things. So there's a lot of books there. Head over to Instagram. It's on my destash account, which is yarnaboutyarn_destash. Once things have been sold and I know they've been received, I'm taking them off. So nearly everything that's on there is still for sale. There's a couple of things that are marked sold that either just sold overnight and I haven't even posted yet, or things that are still waiting, they're in the post somewhere. So just keep checking back, because I think yesterday I might have put up, I don't know, 2 or 3 things. Just depends how much time I get and how quickly they're selling. I want to sort of keep it fresh, keep new things on the page all the time. So yeah, and if you're buying a couple of things that I'm posting at the same time, probably reduce the price by like $5 or something, because I can combine the postage. I'm not charging very much at all. You'll see most things are quite cheap. It's more just to like cover the postage, cover the PayPal fees, and just get a couple of dollars for myself to add to my yarn buying fund, which my in and out stash is not looking great. We're sort of 7,000 meters over, and I have some more yarn coming. Anyone that's local, you might know that Sue from Yarn Glorious Yarn in Brisbane is retiring and closing her store. So she's been running a bit of a sale, which I did buy couple of skeins from her, and then I think yesterday might have been the last day, so I popped back on and I grabbed another couple of skeins, and by couple I think I mean 3. So I've been quite restrained. I think I've just got half a dozen altogether from her, but that has added to my stash, especially seeing I mostly knit with fingering weight, so that's, you know, 400 meters each time I buy a skein. And then this one that added 300 meters, and knitting those little washcloths did not take much out at all. I don't know, I can't even remember how much, maybe 80 meters for each one of those. But that's okay. I've got some big projects on the needles, and when they're complete, that will reduce what's gone in and what's gone out. But at the moment, it's saying I have 7,145.5 meters of yarn more in my stash than what I did at the beginning of the year. And we're not even at the end of January yet, so yeah. But that's okay. So have a look on my destash page. Lots of books, there'll be some yarn coming, and as I go through these tubs, there'll be more yarn coming, hopefully. I've got a lot of things in my stash that, like this was from Knit Crate, but that's not a colour that I wear. I just don't enjoy wearing shades of brown, this sort of shade of brown, and I don't think it really suits me either. So I do have yarns that I've either bought for projects, like this was bought for a blanket, and I've got leftovers, and it's 2 skeins of the bulky, so I'm not going to knit another, well, I have no plans to knit another bulky blanket at the moment. So that will go into destash. Yeah, so like this, absolutely beautiful, but that's all I've got. And I did think about putting it in like the yoke of a jumper or something, but again, there was a time when I did wear lots of colour and lots of rainbowy sort of colours, but not so much anymore. So it's probably not something that I'm going to put into a garment, but in a woven project, that's going to be lovely. But this one, that's not colours that I wear anymore. So yeah, that'll be either weaving or, yeah, that'll be weaving, that one, because I love the colour changing yarns in weaving. But things like that, there's colours that I'm not going to wear, that I have picked up that are left over from other projects, or I've just changed my mind about them, whatever. So they'll find their way into the destash. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Unfortunately, not a lot of knitting to show you this week, just a couple of rows here and there. Hopefully that I'll find some more time to do some knitting next week, and have some progress to show you. So yeah, hope everyone is well, and that you get some crafting done, and I'll have a chat to you again soon. Bye.